Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to The Inevitable. This is part two of my reading of the book. I hope you guys have enjoyed part one. Part one took us from the prologue all the way up to part two. Now, the entire purpose of part one of this book, you'll notice the book is broken into two parts as you listen through. The whole purpose of part one is to introduce the characters and the main conflict. And at the end of part one is when the big surprise happens. And after that, it's the follow-up as new things are introduced. So just so you understand, the book itself, it's split into two parts. We're still in part one right now, and we are moving on into chapter number three. Chapter number three. Year 6490, in the Vega sector, aboard the capital ship Kragan 6, near the shuttle base in the Nebulous. They came like a shadow. The first sign that something was amiss was the silent fleet that appeared at the edge of Kilthon space. When they were hailed, there was no response. Again, the Kilthon attempted any form of transmission. No response. Refusing, as was their way, to strike at a fleet or a race that had shown no signs of inexcusable aggression, the Kilthon continued for nearly 3 weeks to open up communications with the slow-moving fleet. "Why do they move so slowly?" gasped an exasperated soldier. "They appear to not have our technology of speed. Or they're trying to intimidate us." Several fighters, sending non-aggression messages in every known dialect and language possible, set out for the enemy frigates, and the ring ship Nautilus was sent to protect the Nebulous of Days, a construction ground for the Kilthon fleet. If that should fail, we should be without hope in this war. But Mar, they've shown no signs of aggression." The Admiral looked down at his bridge officer. 15 years in the service, and that's all you have to say? Do you actually believe that an alien fleet would suddenly arrive and travel, nay, crawl through our scanner system if they did not mean our utter destruction? The bridge officer frowned and bowed his head. "Dispatch the other ring ship. I want the Nebulous defended." "Isn't that a little much, Mar?" Making a mental note of the insubordination, the Admiral calmly replied, "We have no idea what these aliens are capable of. If I were certain they wouldn't beam behind us like the Vixoth did, I would send all of our fleet at them." A single klaxon rang, then died. What was that? A distortion appeared near the bow of what seemed to be the capital ship of those aliens. "It's gone now. I thought I saw some space debris for a time, but it vanished." "That's been happening too often lately," muttered the Admiral, remembering the stories he had heard about the section of a planet that had suddenly vanished and then reappeared over a year ago. The engineers had told him that they ran a full diagnostic on the sensors and had found them clean and without any damage, even that which was negligible. These anomalies were happening far too often to be accidental. "Noted. We shall investigate it at another time," commanded the Admiral. But Mar, the pods at the sides of the enemy fleet? We can do nothing about them. Continuing monitoring the ring ships. They are within hailing range. Shall we?" "Yes." They waited a moment. Slowly, the ring ship Nautilus extended its communication array. The beams were about to be sent when several flaming lights extended from the bow of the nearest alien ship. They cut across the top of the ring ship, severing the satellite array and detonating into small shards of ruined space debris. "Representatives of the Kilthon Empire, stand down. Your unprovoked attack on our homeworld has earned this invasion upon you. Prepare to submit to our demands, and we will allow you to live. Know this: our fleet is totally dedicated to this mission, and we will not back down for anything, even defeat." The Admiral clicked the comms link. "Raise them. I wish to speak." His translator had already begun to discover the various means of communication of this new alien threat. "Mar, the satellites have been destroyed. We can only receive." "Ambassadors of the Kilthon, by your attempted attack just now, we know you are bent on resisting our will. You will have 3 days to meet with us personally aboard our vessel, so that the proper punishments may be meted out. Only then will we stop our advance." "Board an enemy ship as a voluntary prisoner?" exclaimed the Admiral. "They must be mad." Several moments passed, as the Admiral attempted to find any means with which to respond. "Have we no reply from you? Send the recon ships. Raise them with our reply. We shall not surrender our leaders into their hands, replied one of the admiral's assistants. Sit! The thing which you speak is not your concern. Inform them that I will talk, but not from their platform. The recon ships, small, unmanned crafts, slowly floated toward the large alien battle fleet. Alien vessel! The Admiral wishes to negotiate bridge to bridge. He will. There was a burst of static, and the transmission died. What happened? Asked the Admiral. Admiral, it appears all electrical systems have been destroyed aboard the vessel, replied an engineer, his holographic projection of the recon ship glowing red. How is that possible? We're analyzing the alien technology as we speak. Alien vessel, your refusal to cooperate now brings our wrath upon you. All fleet, in battle formation. Admiral, they're preparing to strike. Nautilus, hold them back until the second ring ship arrives, commanded the Admiral. Affirmative, Commander. Dispatch all fighters. You heard me. All pilots to battle stations now. I must warn you, that blast has immobilized our recon vessels, the bridge officer cautioned. That is the second time you have questioned my commands in the presence of subordinates. This is war, Commander. But protocols must be followed. Do you understand? Yes, Mar. The engineer spoke up. Mar, if I may. Yes. What is it? It appears to be an impulse of some sort. It appears to have the ability to shut down all electrical systems, just long enough for the aliens to destroy the immobilized ship. The Admiral sank back into his gel-formed sheet and touched his fingers together. A scowl touched his face. We have no choice but to send the fighters. Otherwise, we will be overrun. Do not inform the pilots of this information. They need not know that what they are doing and what they face is certain death. He turned to the bridge officer. Are you ready to follow my commands? Yes, Commander. Good. Then dispatch the fighters. The bridge officer opened the comlink and raised the shuttle bay. By orders of the Admiral, open hangar bay 7. Tell them to rendezvous with the Nautilus after the enemy fleet is destroyed. Good, stated the Admiral, watching the enemy fleet nearing him through the emptiness of space. Now, prepare for combat. Right away, Mar. 6490. Military Training Facility, Planet Confidential. Salir's director, a middle-aged Kilthon named Sala, was reclining in his quarters when the news arrived. Incoming call from Kragan 6, Director Sala. Patch it in. A funny image rose in small view screen in Sala's personal quarters. He quickly rose, arranged his clothes as neatly as possible, and snapped to a quick salute. Admiral! Director Sala! Admiral's voice rang across the communications array. Yes, Admiral. Mar. A war has begun in the Raygon Quadrant near the Nebulous. A war? He gasped. With whom? The director suddenly realized whom he had just My apologies, Mar. No time for apologies. Fault forgiven. An unknown alien race has begun an unprovoked invasion of the Raygon Quadrant. We believe they are trying to destroy our manufacturing plants in the area. The Admiral paused. When he perceived he could speak, the director inquired, How may I help? Our fighter squadron and 2 of our ring ships are currently engaging the enemy. I fear they and I do not have much time should we not receive assistance. And whom shall I send? Send your best, 17 and above every one. As you command, Admiral. The Admiral cast a gaze over his shoulder. Evasive action! The screen view blinked out. Sala brought up another message block. A kindly, feminine electronic voice answered, How may I help? Send an APB to all 17s. All battle trains 17 and higher are to report to the hangar bay. Shuttles will be leaving for the Vega system in 20 atomic minutes. Salir rose from his bed. His teammates slowly rose also, rubbing their eyes. Hey, what is going on? Though they were all several years his elder, they looked to him for instructions. Stay here, he ordered, jumped from his bed and ran to Sala's room. Sala, Mar, what is happening? Nothing for you to worry about. The 17s have been called in. Mar, what do you mean by called in? No one's ever called in unless something's about to happen. Please tell me, Mar, what's happening? Nothing. A minor skirmish on the outlying Vega sector. That's the Nebulous. Are we in a war? No, lied Sala. I know you're lying. I can see it in your eyes. They quiver when you lie. What? You're doing it again. Sala chuckled. I never could hide anything from you. The pleasantness faded. I'm sorry I lied, but yes, there is a war. he whispered. Where? In the Raygon quadrant. Vega sector. That's what I said. Just making sure you're telling the truth. Very funny. Now, I'm going. No, you're not. 17s and above. You're only level 15. Because you wouldn't let me take a test the third time. Salir, you're like a son to me. But I am still your military director. You will obey orders. Mar, but I have, haven't I? Sala hid his smile with a fake frown of deep thought. Well, I suppose you have. Then let me go, please. The answer is still no. Then you are lying again. Sala barked. You are verging on insubordination. My apologies, Mar. Sala's heart sank. He had promised, and he remembered it too. He had said it to please the young warrior, but now he had no choice but to honor it, or risk being seen as worse than a liar, an oath-breaker. And that was a stigma he would never be able to overcome. He bowed his head. Apology accepted. You may go. You are now officially a 17. Salir managed to refrain from a triumphant yes, bowed in thanks to his director, and darted off toward the barracks to equip his gear. I shall see you soon, muttered Sala, as he too returned from his dorm to pack. Far be it from him to sit idly by while his students departed for the front. Chapter 4. Year 6490, outside the nebula in the Vega quadrant. A single fighter, like an ember falling back toward the Earth after a firework had exploded, trailed its flaming propulsion fluid as it sank toward the alien frigate. Before the ember could extinguish itself with a blast into the side of the alien ship, a single blue beam traced, almost imperceptibly, across the blackness of space and disintegrated the flailing craft. The Admiral leaned over the damaged control panel of the Kragan 6. Director Sala would have sent out reinforcements by now. He could only pray that they arrived in time. A flaming ring ship, the scarred word Nautilus sparking on its hull, slowly rotated its way toward the enemy fleet for the third time. But this time, there would be no turning back. This time, the Admiral had been regrettably forced to order a no-retreat command, one that meant death for the ship, and also secured that the only way those soldiers on board could survive was either to destroy the entire foe fleet by themselves, or jettison their escape pods. The ring ship was an amazing craft. It was shaped like a horizontal disc, with raised ridges systematically placed throughout its length. Small cannons rose like a dark forest of trees from these, making this rotating craft a bristling fortress of weaponry. In the very center of the craft was another perpendicular ring, which housed the EM fields that powered the ship's shield and thruster capabilities. Two long transportation tubes extended from the outer ring to the inner. This central ring blazed as lasers from the alien ship cut across it. Fighters, close that cannon! A long cannon on the bow of the enemy ship slowly swiveled into place. Small pockets of energy pooled around the barrel, collecting and bubbling as they slowly coalesced into an increasing mass of sheer energy. The Admiral felt his heart jump a beat. He pounded his fist on the recon communication ray. Fighters, close! Now! Several fighters, like gnats swarming a rotting carcass, closed on the massive guns. Had there been sound in the blackness of space, they would have heard the crackling hum as a massive ball of energy expanded from the barrel, threatening at any moment to burst forth in an unknown beam of destruction. Nevertheless, in spite of the danger and almost certain death that lay before them, the noble fighters dove into the power coils that traversed the barrel. One fighter spun expertly between flashing shower of energy beams, tracing from the Nautilus to the alien craft and back again. Beams of condensed energy, nearly matter, ricocheted off the alien craft's shields, sometimes flashing several times before sailing off into the dissipating emptiness of space. The fighter banked and dove toward the sparkling mass. The barrel of the gun extended massively out before him. It could have been a mile long. Its shimmering length quivered as the string of energy grew. Any second now it would burst, and the Nautilus would be no more. The fighter could see shards of space debris crackling as they flashed against the shield. Their matter was not nearly strong enough to punch through the force field of energy, but energy could. Deftly switching his turrets to manual controls, he issued an order to his gunner to use the energy cannon. If all went as it should, the energy would fuse with and hopefully punch through the shield barrier and cut into the energy conduits running the length of the gun. Fire at will, gunner! The pilot activated the auto turret, and took command of a small rapid-fire turret that extended from the nose of the craft. He performed a swift diagnostic on the ammo count and depressed the firing mechanism. Streams of energy flashed over the top of his cockpit, exploding with bursts of light against the surface of the shielded cannon. He could see the crackling and rippling waves of light coursing as the shield generators absorbed the surplus energy. Train all fire at that projectile's contact point. Beams of energy overlapped his own fire. The fire wasn't enough to punch through the shielding. Muttering angrily to himself, the pilot re-engaged manual drive and flew away, sending out a call to all surrounding fighters. Several blasts from the ring ship flashed off the hull and barrel of the alien craft. Then an idea struck the pilot. "Calling ring ship Nautilus. Come in, ring ship." The recon vessel near the ring ship quickly transferred the signal. "Yes, fighter 605. Your blast cannot puncture the alien vessel's shield. Move in a little closer, and maybe we can punch our way through." "Affirmative, 605. What have we to lose?" With surprising speed for such a large craft, the ring ship moved into position and glided toward the massive alien battlecruiser. The waves of energy rippled ever faster as the very fabric of space distorted. The beam grew white hot and was now beginning to fold back over the gaping barrel. In mere seconds, it would all be unleashed. Feverishly, the ring ship peppered the craft with as much firepower as the clusters of shot could muster. Fighters dove and banked. Ruined debris of flaming wreckage flashed into the shields. "I have never seen such a powerful generator. Their force field must be immense," exclaimed a general. "Mar, the energy! It's being released!" The bubble burst. Invisible fingers of superheated energy vaporized several doomed fighters before they could do anything. They just vanished into a whiff of immaterial space. Then, following closely in what seemed to be a vacuum within a near vacuum, the visible energy erupted. A long pole of white hot energy traced silently through the void, and the only noise was the doomed cries of the occupants aboard the ring ship Nautilus. The beam sliced neatly through the craft and dissipated, setting its inner gyro aflame in the oxygenless mass of space. The flames rapidly extinguished, as the atmosphere was in a moment completely consumed. Everything went quiet, and the dead ring slowly drifted. The sparkle of a downed shield glistened across the hull of the alien craft. Small bolts of energy fire now scorched the surface of the ring ship's auto turrets as they malfunctioned, sending blasts in every direction. To the Admiral, watching the dead ring float, sparkling and flaming, the moment seemed like an eternity, when suddenly time seemed to regain control. A single, silent explosion cracked open the inner gyro, followed by another and another. Explosions rocked the craft, severing the transportation conduits that stretched from the bristling combat ring to the living quarters. The inner gyro broke free, releasing its power source into the void. Free of its electric constraints, the core drifted, sparkling with an overloading energy within its system. It was like releasing the energy of a heavy bomb. The energy shell, no longer sustained, cracked and weakened. As the last vestiges faded, the coursing flames of energy broke free and exploded. The Kragan 6 reeled in space as what particulate matter existed was blasted away from the core. Fragments of the ring ship pierced through the shielding. The Admiral's chair swung away from the screen toward the engineer. "Damage report!" One quickly punched up a holographic image of the destroyed ship. "The ring ship's core has detonated, half the inner gyro is gone, the rest is floating. What's left has suffered loss of all life support. Those inside are fried." "Fried?" "The air literally burned up on contact with that beam. And our craft?" The engineer opened another window. "Minor hull breach in Sector 7. No loss of any major system. Dispatch maintenance, close off that hole. Right away, Mar." "Any survivors aboard the Nautilus?" asked the Admiral. "None that can be traced." The Admiral's bottom lip curled in, and a sigh escaped his chest. "And that beam, what was it?" "We have no idea. It was pure energy, like nothing we've ever seen." "And those energy bolts?" "Two different turrets. They're miniatures of the cannon energy beam and outlawed laser technology, only modified. During a military coup of 6392, a laser had been used to evaporate a planet Nabon 3. Viewing such attacks as cowardly and barbaric, the Krathian Council convened and declared that all use of laser technology would be deemed as traitorous, and those using it would be executed. Even after the war was ended, the stigma of laser technology could not be removed. The Krathian Order adopted powerful energy weapons and standard wrist blades as weapons of true nobility, claiming that someday the blades that the warriors wielded would save their race. The Admiral looked at the diagnostic readout, the stereotypes ringing in his mind. Modified? How? Mar, it appears blue, not red, and it seems to be able to be stopped. How? It's light. The bridge officer shrugged. I'm sorry, Mar, I have no answers. Our science crews are working on it. The Admiral nodded. Continue as you were. Order an evacuation of this sector. I repeat, order all crafts to fall back. We've lost this round. Mar, but what about the aliens? The Admiral stared off into the ink of space. The ring ship was close enough to cause substantial damage. Close enough, I hope, to put that craft out of commission for a little while. Truly, the flaming hull of the alien vessel was clearly visible as the alien craft retreated into the darkness. Apparently its shields had dropped when it issued that killing blow, and the debris field of the ring ship, being as close as it had been, had dealt heavy damage across the exposed hull. At least we know its weakness. Mar, with all due respect, it may be a weakness, but a weakness that requires such sacrifice is hardly a weakness at all. And I think they know that as well. The Admiral looked up. 2 more alien battleships were slowly moving toward them as the first continued its slow retreat. Fall back. Issue a Class 5 evacuation of all civilian stations in this sector. Salvage what we can. We're gonna need it.